Hi y'all, so excited to kick off our crochet along talking about gauge. You know, this is a super important step in making anything that needs to be a particular size when done. Okay, now it's important, even with blankets and shawls, to ensure that you have enough yarn, but those are a lot more forgiving than a garment. And since we are making a cardigan, yes, we need to do gauge. So you have seen the gorgeous one that looks like a sunrise or sunset, in my opinion. That is this awesome yarn, Sidar Jewel Spun Ombre. This is an Aran weight, and this is the swatch unblocked, because we're going to talk about blocked and unblocked because it's going to make a difference in your finished project. Now, the pictures you have seen, that is prior to blocking. And for the second one, I will be using this for my stash, also single ply, although this is considered DK weight. It works up very similarly. It is just looser, and I really like how this looks. Now, you can absolutely use a solid. You can use acrylic, which is like this. This one is 100% superwash merino. So this is a wool. And that's why I'm showing you the differences. This is 16 rows. This is 15 rows. Both are 23 inches. And both were made with a 6.5 millimeter Tunisian hook. All right. But most importantly, and let's zoom in for this. As you see, this beautiful stitch is the Clover Stitch. And if you are not sure how to make this stitch yet, please hop over to the tutorial in order to see how to make this. As the instructions for the crochet along, you could do 23 stitches or more. It needs to be an odd number. Anything less, you run the risk of it being too small. And as you see, with this lovely stitch, it creates this lovely diagonal pattern because it's like a lace stitch. So when looking at this, okay, it is really important to understand where your rows are. And it helps to follow the chain that you make on the return pass to find a row. So where I'm running my finger, this is one row. Now, when you're looking at this, because of the modified Tunisian simple stitch, this here, this front bar, right, this vertical bar, and this one is part of the same row. Whereas this one and this one is part of the next row. So as you continue, you could count your rows this way. I don't recommend doing that. So you want to be really clear that you know where you're looking. And so when it comes to measuring gauge, unblocked, this is acrylic yarn. Do not start at the edge. Do not start at the top or the bottom. We're going to measure away from the edges because this is not accurate. Because as you can see, with it being unblocked, it's not exactly perfectly flat. It's pretty flat. That's why I love this stitch. It does not curl. All right. So you want to line up your zero mark, whether you're using a ruler or a tape measure. If you have a gauge square, I recommend you use this. And if you don't have one, find the link below. I created a free download. It is paper, but you can cut out the center, check the scale to make sure that it printed at full size to ensure that when you use it, it's accurate. Anyways, for measuring the stitch gauge, we want to line up the zero mark with a vertical bar. We're going to start here. And I like to ensure that my ruler is lining up along the bottom of the other vertical bars in the same space. So that's right here. Now we're going to count 1, 2, because remember, this and this is part of the same row. This is the chain here. The other chain is hiding back here before the next one, right? So these two are part of the same row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And technically this 16th one falls right at 4. But this I'm going to go with 15 because the chain is part of the stitch when you're checking gauge in Tunisian. right? Because we always account for the space between stitches. So if you want to count this, that's not really a full 16th stitch because you have the vertical bar plus the chain before you get to the next one. So if you want to count 16 stitches, that would then make it 4.25 instead of 4. So hopefully you're still with me on that. And then, yes, you can turn this way, but honestly, I find it easier to just rotate the gauge swatch. Again, lay it flat. Do not stretch. That way you have your relaxed, pre-blocked gauge accurate. Now, going this way, again, following the chains, and again, away from the edges, let's line up here because actually this is a pull over here, so we'll start here, right? This is more accurate. All right, and again, kind of follow the lines to make sure that your ruler is placed well, because if it's angled, that's going to be inaccurate. All right, so let's go back to here, right? The top of here, this point here for placing our 0 mark. Let's make sure that this is lined up really well. Again, this is why I recommend using a gauge square. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and here at 12, again, the bottom of the vertical bar puts us right about here. If you want it to be a full row instead of a partial row. But if we stop at 4, you know, for the sake of ease, we could say 11.5. But if you want to be more accurate, you can say this point. Okay, so definitely refer to what's written. I know this is getting long talking about gauge, but I want to make sure you really understand how to measure with this particular stitch. And so looking at this other yarn, because again, this is wool, and this time I'm going to use the gauge square because it just makes it so much easier. Again, lay it flat. Again, this is pre-blocked. And yes, this video will continue so you can see what it looks like after blocking. But the same idea, again, away from the edges, just like before, vertical bar from the modified. So I'm going to line it up right here in the corner. Make sure that this lines up going across this way. And again, this is a DK weight, single ply. This yarn is worsted weight or Aran weight, single ply. They're not exactly the same, but they are close enough. This is what I had in my stash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're still on track with our stitch gauge. Now for the row gauge, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So pretty close because again, same hook. All right, so now if you've recorded your pre-block gauge, make sure you write it down and then block your swatches. Once it's completely dry, we'll come back and then compare. Alrighty, we have blocked our swatches. Remember, you need to let them dry. Do not pull on them a whole lot. This is literally, I laid it out, just smooth it out. Again, let it soak for 10 minutes, warm water, not really warm, but tepid, and a tiny bit of like fiber wash. Once they are dry, you want to measure the gauge. So pre-blocking this, the Jewel Spun Ombre, which is 100% acrylic, Aran weight, was 15 stitches by like 11 and a half rows to be 4 by 4 inches, because again, I did 4 by 4. Well, actually I wrote it down as 4.25 for the rows. So 12 rows, and this one was 15 stitches, 11 rows. Okay. And this is a DK Superwash Merino. It is okay if you use a slightly different weight. You still want to use the same hook. You still want to check gauge. And for those that do the VIP experience, I have a special little gift in there for you if you want to change the yarn weight and still know how much yarn, stitches, all that. We're going to line this up. Again, we're looking at the vertical bars, right? This is for each row. So we want to line this up with the vertical bars, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And again, it stops right there on the edge of that. So I would say 14 stitches. And that's acrylic yarn. That's how it changed, okay? And then for the rows, again, we had 12 rows and 4.25, right? So I know this is exactly 4, but just work with me. So it helps to count the diagonal and then move over and count up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it changed. This is why you block. All right. And let's bring over our swatch in the Superwash Merino. Let's adjust a little bit. There we go. Sorry if you get motion sickness, y'all. Okay. So again, and I mean, this one's really clear that it is larger than before. But place your gauge square or ruler, again, looking for the vertical bars for the row, and then lining it up, right? Just like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Again, our width is spot on, although this swatch here is Aran weight. This is considered DK, but they're both single ply. So we have 14 stitches. And then for rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look at how that changed. And this is why we block. And that way you will know how it works. So with the stitch counts provided, it is based on the blocked gauge. Okay, let me say that again. The stitch and row counts are based on blocked gauge. If you want stitch counts and you don't intend to block, the sizing will be different. Okay, I'm just letting you know now. You block, your measurements will be what's listed within the pattern. All right, so if you have questions, definitely ask your questions. Either send them to me by email or in the Facebook group, Confidently Crochet with Creations by Courtney. Okay, so that's it for gauge. We now know what we're aiming for. The pre-block gauge, which is listed in the blog post and in the pattern, that's what you want to check when crocheting. Post blocking, that's the new numbers. That's what you want to have after blocking your finished cardigan. All right. See you in the next video. Let's get started on the sleeves and the back.